All right. So, welcome everyone. My guest today has driven road trains and worked the mines in Western Australia. He spent 7 years in the family court system. And then he went and built a company that's helped over 100 people buy property and went from a team of two to 13 in 24 months, fully remote across two countries. And none of that came with a business manual. He didn't wait until he was qualified to build it. And that's exactly why he's here. Hadley, welcome.
Thanks, Adi. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Absolutely. So, Hadley, before we get into any of the business, when you pitched me, I was impressed. And you mentioned that road trains and the mines and 7 years in family court. You mentioned all of that in one sentence, and then you moved straight onto remote teams. And I want to slow down on that one sentence because there's a whole lot packed in there. So,
Yeah.
what did those years actually teach you that you still use on a regular Monday morning?
Yeah, I think so. There's two sort of different segments of life there. The road trains and the mining side of things was my 20s. The family core was like the story of my early to late 30s. It's hopefully, fingers crossed. I've been saying this for the last 8 years. Hopefully finishes by the end of this year. But I think that the biggest thing, through the theme that runs through all of that is really resilience. And that you get put in an adverse position or a place where you don't expect yourself to be. You don't necessarily want to be there, but you're there because that's just where you are in life. And I think it's that resilience that's one step forward, that keep moving is the aspect that that comes up every Monday morning.
Yeah. Um, you wrote somewhere nobody's coming to save you. Um,
Yeah.
I want to get into that, and I want you to unpack this. I think it's to me, it's a social conditioning that we have had for years and years, and that's how we think. Is someday someone is gonna tap on our shoulder and say, "This is your chance. You should go get it." Or when things are not
Yeah.
working out, we like to figure out, well, who to blame to. When you say nobody's coming to save you, I love that so much, but I want everybody else to hear from you. Why do you believe in that?
Yeah, I mean, it started in the 20s on the road train side of things once again, because you're out in the outback, you're in the middle of nowhere. You literally can't just pull into the nearest service station and go and get someone to fix your tire, fix a repair that you've got. You could be, five, six, 700, 1,000 k's from anywhere, driving down dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. So it's really you that's got to figure out your own issues to get you through the day, the week, wherever you are at that time, which compounds that resilience, and the only person you can rely on at the time is yourself to get you through it. Uh, and then that was sort of the day-to-day fundamental from that side of things. And I suppose it's been galvanized more so as I've gone further and further through life. And more so shows out now in terms of like the family court side of things. That was a really big lesson and learning, and down that path of me being a guy. It's like, right, cool. How do I just push this and fix this? And here's a solution. Let's just go down this path and get it done. Now that that just doesn't happen because it's out of your control. And the only person you can either sit there and get down and depressed and think the world's against you the whole time you're going through that, or you can go, well, right, look, it's something that's happening. It's not great, but I can either let my life be determined by this factor that I've got no control over or limited control over. Or I can just go and park that to the side and go and do the things that I can control. So how do I go and rebuild my life? How do I go and do the things that I want to do, rather than looking back over those years and then in 9 years time looking back and going, if only I had have started this 3 years ago. Because at the end of the day, the stuff like this happens, and it's really easy to get focused on the negative stuff as opposed to the stuff that's really good and happening in your life.
Sure. And that resonates with me a lot because I've been through that journey too. For anybody who's still not built a business, or they are waiting to feel ready, or they are waiting for the perfect time. I know it's easy to say now for me that I look at the positive, not at the negative,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't feel that way yet. What helps you change your mindset that when you find yourself in that pickle, you can go look at maybe your gratitude journal. You can go look at the 10 last wins you had, and you can feel that winner's effect again and then not get sucked into all the bad things that could have happened in a day. How did you get to that point though?
Yeah, I think it was through a lot of like beating, shall we say, and not physical, but more so like the mental and emotional gymnastics that you go through on a daily basis. And I think I just got to a point initially where I just got fed up with it. My now wife was fed up with the drama and everything else that was going on at the time, and I mean she was a big part of it. Where we just basically sat down one day and just said, "Look, we just need to draw a line on this. This might things might go for another 6 months. They might go for another 6 years. But if we sit here and wait, then we're just going to keep waiting." And I think that's the thing with people starting business, people that have a bad day, is like, I'll go and do that when we feel better about things. But waiting to feel better, you just push or you kick the can down the road, and it just takes more time to get started. You waste a couple of years, and then you look back and go, well, those last 10 years were wasted. Those last 5 years were wasted on something that we have no control of. And so I think that's the biggest part, is that like internal reflection to go, right, this happened. What can I control? What can I control? If I can't control it, I just need to park it to the side, and that's going to play itself out. But the things I can control are this, and this. I can control my mental state. I can control what I do, and I can control what I build. And so that's the thing that I had to focus on, and have learned to focus on over time. And as you say, it's really easy to sit here, 8 years into this, and go, hey, look, just be positive. It's easy, because it's not. I've got friends going through similar stuff at the moment, but it's helpful to also talk to them and go, look, not everything's a fight. The things you think are important now won't be important in 5 years' time. The arguments you have now probably aren't worth having. You're better off to park that argument, get on with your life, than to try and die on this hill that's really, in the scheme of things, going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, for sure. You've gone through building a team from 2 to 13 in
Yeah.
under 2 years. Can you help us walk through that journey? What was that like, starting from two,
Uh,
now where you are? Walk us through it.
it's chaos is probably the best way to describe it. Not so much chaos, not so much chaos now, but definitely chaos at the start with having learning how to get people to do things for you, trusting in them that they're going to do the right thing. We were talking before we jumped on here about like my main focus has been systems and processes over the last 12 months. And that's just because we didn't have any. So I go on, the first couple of people I employed that we brought on the team were like, oh, hey, look, you're an EA. You should just go off and do EA stuff because you're an EA. Surely you know how to do that. And then couldn't figure out why, that wasn't happening. And so that's really been the biggest learning and the biggest journey through that, and smoothing that chaos out, is to get ourselves in a situation where we've got systems for people, we've got processes for people, people know the lanes that they're in. The other thing that we did too that also caused more chaos was is that we added two more services, to what we were doing. So there was like main business, and then I had a client go, "Hey, look, if you can start project management and property management for me, I've got jobs for you." So, okay, cool, sweet. If I just have like, three businesses that do 300K a year each, then there's $1 million a year. But the math doesn't quite add up like that when you have one that does really well, one that does okay, and the other one sucks the profit out of the other two. So that was the other part of the chaos that ensued, but it's sorted itself out now.
So, what does a day to day look like now? I want to get into AI, but before that,
Yeah.
how has it changed your day going from 2 to 13 in under 2 years?
I'm not doing as much doing in terms of like day to day stuff. I still look after the sales aspect of things, but I'm not in the day to day delivery. And so I suppose for me, it's a lot more team meetings. It's a lot more coaching people. and just dealing with that side of things. And with us growing at the rate that we're growing, it's also too about like how do we forward plan and get more people on. We're at the moment we're looking to hire another couple of people, so it's like how do we balance that and the learnings that come with that. So it's a bit of a juggling act.
Yeah. So when someone says they're, when someone tells me they've gone from two to X number of people,
Mm.
delegation is part of it, right? You have to be able to delegate if you want to grow. Um,
Yeah.
so I was that person who didn't used to delegate because I just did not understand the value in it until I started my own business. And then it took me a little bit of time to get to to accept the fact that you cannot grow unless you just hire smart people and let them do their job.
Yeah.
If a lot of people who still listen to our show, I think they still struggle with that idea. So, for anybody who's listening and he thinks that they are a special snowflake, what do you have to tell to them?
You'll probably find that most people will do a better job than you will over time. So, like for us in the property management space, the our property management team do a way better job than what I could ever do. My EA does a far better job than I do with my calendar, with my emails. She goes away for 2 or 3 days, and there's just a whole lot of. She's got it all nice and categorized and easy to find, and then she knows that when she goes away, it's going to come back and it's just going to be a mess, and she's going to tidy all that stuff up. The guy that does our property finding for me is way better at that than I am. And so it's about finding people that are better than you, but knowing where your strengths lie and being able to double down onto that. Because I think you end up constraining yourself when you have to be the person that does everything, and giving trust in people so that they can go and do what they need to do is the other key part with that. If you need to micromanage them, then I think you're also in a whole lot of trouble. Yeah, and you don't get anything done because you also have people knocking on your door every 10 minutes, asking you questions on how to do things.
For sure. Um, I think when we got in touch initially, one of the things you had said is, I want to talk about scaling without running your life.
Yeah,
How close to that you are in your real life? And the answer doesn't have to be perfect. I just want people
yeah, yeah.
to hear from someone like you who's been doing this for a while and has
Yeah.
gone from business to business. And how does it look like for you?
We're getting closer. Still not perfect. But I think the thing for me is like if we go back 2 years to when it all started was like me doing everything. There was no time for anything other than just work. Um, at the moment, in terms of like team scale, I've got people that head departments that look after most things. The issue that I've got at the moment though is that we're at a bit of a vulnerable point where if one person leaves any of those departments, we're not quite big enough that I've got multiples of people yet. And so it just means that if one person goes or leaves, I've got to try and step back into that position to fill that role. But when everyone's at work and when everything's rolling, there's a bit of flexibility there in terms of what I can do and things like for me now the important things are like going to my daughter's school events and sports games and practices and things like that, which I can now do. Whereas previously before that was like, look, my calendar's booked from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5, 6 o'clock at night, and then I've got other stuff that I need to do after that. So that's really been the biggest thing about getting that balance back is being able to delegate those jobs out, not have to worry about the things that aren't relevant to me, and know and trust in my team that they're going to execute on the things that they do well.
Very cool. Um, because we talk about a lot of AI on this show, I wanted to ask you, did the concept of building the systems and scaling, did that come in your life first? Or AI came first and it helped, or it sort of forced you to build the systems? Which one came first? Because then it leads to a follow-up question.
Yeah, so the systems came first, and then AI followed, as part of what we were doing there. So like I used to initially just started writing everything before AI came along, and then I had a coach at the time. He said to me, "Look, your systems are rubbish. You're not going to get any better people in your company if you don't improve your systems. He's like, better systems, better people, better systems, better people. That's just how it works. And I didn't quite understand that at the time, but now I can see it. And so he was like, right, just get up at 4 a.m. every morning. He's like, you being you will absolutely hate it, but just sit down for an hour every day, write everything out. So at least your team's got some guardrails or some railway tracks, as he used to say, you know, for them to follow. So at least they know where they're going, as opposed to, you trying to herd cats like you're doing at the moment. Um, and so, yeah, it started out with just writing some stuff down. Then I thought, hey, look, what if we just use Loom and I can record videos for people and we'll just have a huge video library? And then the AI came through when it was like, all right, cool, we can still do the Loom videos. We can just pull the transcription at the time GPT to go through, write us an SOP, and it's done in 10 minutes. So that's sort of been evolution over the last couple of years for that.
Very cool. And how does your day to day look like now? Well, you had systems already. Not every business owner has systems in place, so AI
Yeah.
can sit on top of it. But since you had done the hard part before, what does your day to day look like with AI sitting on top of those systems?
Yeah, we've also got a lady who looks after our project management who comes from an IT software AI background, which has been hugely helpful. So a lot of the stuff that we've got in the background is now automated through. We use ClickUp for most of our CRM and applications, and there's a whole lot of agents that work their magic and there, and that's been a big part of that side of it, for our internal stuff. And then in terms of like from a team perspective, is everyone uses Claude Code as well to generate our reports and any little tools that they need to build alongside what they're already doing as part of their mission, their KPIs, is to like, look, if you need something built, have a crack at it on code yourself, see how you get on. Kaylee can probably help you out as well if you need some help. And then if when we get to a size that code's not doing it for us, then we'll go and find an external provider that can provide the software. But until that time, let's just use AI to the best that we possibly can internally. And then we've also got some internal AI tools that Kaylee and her team are building out as well.
For sure. I think anybody who started on this journey, at some point, they had their mind blown with what AI could do.
Mm.
I think, well, everybody has their own use cases that they swear by. I think for me, that moment was when I could teach it the frameworks of Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell, different people with different expertise. And then whenever I have to make a decision, I go to one of those and I say, this is related to sales. So pull that framework and help, like advise me. What the heck do I do? If it has to be about lead gen or creating partnerships with people, there's a separate framework that I use. What was that one moment for you that sort of blew your mind is, wow, we're in this age of technology. I'm just looking for one use case. You may have more than one.
Yeah, I think probably the first time I used Notebook LM and I realized that I could make a podcast out of a whole lot of different YouTube videos to synthesize something. And I was trying to figure something out, and I just happened to be looking through Notebook because we use it for some of our other content stuff. And I was like, oh, there's an audio function here. So I investigated a little bit further, and then found out that if you add 20 sources to it, it'll synthesize everything and produce you a podcast at the time. So I was like, well, I was driving somewhere. So I went, right, I've got a bit of time to kill here. I'll let it do its thing. And then when I stop next, I'll get it to produce the audio. So there was that. And then also too with code, when I realized that you could just talk to it like a normal person, it would produce, roughly what at least a skeleton before you've got to go in and fight all the bugs. Um, but like a skeleton of what you could do. I was like, this is crazy to think that friends have spent 4 years at university to learn the stuff, and you can go in and talk to an AI bot and it can build code out for you. So yeah, they were really the main two for me.
Yeah. And then how does the business look like on a day to day? Like, where have you seen the most biggest impact since you brought in AI in the business
Yep.
and you have the people? Where have you
Yeah.
seen the most impact?
The biggest thing for us has really been around like reporting. And so gathering data, um, looking at where we are on a weekly basis, like all our financial reporting now is done through AI, through Zero pulls, brings out a report, a spreadsheet once a week, a monthly report once a month, through our property finding for building out resources for clients that can go and search all the websites that we'd normally go and take 2 hours to go and search through. It's there in 10 minutes. And it's about like our inspection reports. It also for our property management, it goes through, it looks at what the previous reports were, it looks at what today's reports are and what are the differences, what do we need to look at for maintenance, what have we missed last time. So it's the big thing for us is like our people are still key. And the people still have relationships with clients. I think that's really important. But the AI is in the background doing the stuff that used to take us 2 hours here, 2 hours there, scrape through all this information to try and find the right thing. And I think what's happened is like people's workloads haven't necessarily dropped, but the cognitive decisions that people need to make are at a higher level than you. It's really hard now just to go, "Oh, I'm just going to go off and research this for 20 minutes, where you could just have some low brain power scrolling for a bit to find out what you're looking for. Whereas like, now it's done for you, but you've got to go back through and check that it's correct. And then, and I think that's the other skill in it as well. Is just because it gives you some answers doesn't mean that they're always 100% correct. And so it now comes down to more a fact checking role rather than a research fact checking role.
For sure. And then as a business owner, as a founder of the company, when you try to bring something like that in, did you get pushback from either the customer side or from your own team on bringing in AI? What could it mean for them?
Um, our customers probably don't know how much we use it, is because it's
Which
just
is a good
seamless
sign.
and yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is like everything that we do is built with instructions, and we've got voice commands behind it, so it sounds like whoever's writing emails and doing the things that they need to do. Our reports, you can probably tell are AI generated, um, but yeah, I mean, and then the team, we're all everyone's pretty tech savvy, and if they can find a more efficient way to do things, then they're all on board. And then, as I say, the lady that looks after our projects is very AI heavy and focused, and that's her jam. So she's like, right, cool, I've got a solution for this, and we'll get this sorted. And she's got her suggestion list that everyone just keeps putting stuff in, and she keeps building stuff out. So yeah, no, everyone's very pro, which has been really great.
Yeah. And then I think one of the objections we get when we run AI diagnostics for companies doing 10 to 50 million ARR. And one of the, I think where it's not an objection per se, but when we start talking about it, I think the use cases that our clients see is anything that's customer facing. Well, what are they going to think? How are they going to talk to AI? And then we sort of help them step back a little bit and then tell them anything back end AI could do faster, better. And
Yeah,
then you free up your own team's time so they can stay customer focused and more one-on-one time with the customer. So it's
yeah.
it's cool to hear the experience that you have had and where you're using AI in your business. I also know that you have two young kids. How does a day with how old are they now?
I've got an 8-year-old, so she lives with me for a week, and then with her mum for a week, and then I've got a 10-month-old as well. So I can hear him raging around the place upstairs at the moment.
Cool. How is building a business with young kids? What does that look like?
Um, Not so bad now with the little fella. With my daughter, I suppose the the separation side of things is challenging from the emotional perspective, but it probably also helped a little bit with building the business at the time, because the weeks that we didn't have her, I could focus building the business, and I haven't got other commitments. So the weeks that she was with us, then it's a case of right balance between the two. Um, with the little fella, my wife works a couple of days a week in the business, so she spends a lot of time with him, and I've got a bit more flexibility now than what I had. It's as I say, it's still not as flexible as what I want it to be, but yeah, it's good. The interesting part's going to be too in terms of like the kids growing up, or like my daughter's seen the struggle from the start, and she's seen the hard work and everything that's gone into where we are now. The interesting part's going to be for the little fella, where he's not going to see the same place that we've come from. Um, when we first started out and we bought our first house, and my daughter sort of went, "Well, am I living here? Are we living here? This place is gross." And it's like, well, hang on, that we'll turn it into something better. But whereas my son won't see that, um, and it's just really the case of like, how do you teach him those lessons that you've still got to you've still got to put in the effort, you've still got to work for what you've got. It just still doesn't come to you.
Absolutely. And I think I heard something which has stuck with me for a very, very long time is not, you may have three kids, but not every kid will see the same version of you.
Yeah,
Because after the first one, you've changed a little bit. So the second kid really got a different parent than the first one. And I have three
yeah.
young kids. I have a 12-year-old, and then my twins are almost 8 now. I think I was a different person altogether when they came along compared to when I had our first one. So it's interesting how parenting goes and how you grow as the kids grow. You're also on your own journey, and as they're growing, you're also growing in your own way.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's interesting with the little fella. It's like the first one you have, you're scared you're going to break them, and that some, that everything's going to be an issue. And then by the time you have the second one, you work out that they're going to, as long as you feed them, you look after them,
Right.
that you're not going to break them. If they're on the floor and they cry for a couple of minutes while you go and grab something, that it's not going to be the end of the world. But the first one's like, oh my God, there's something wrong with them. And yeah, I think it's like everything though. Through experience, you get better and you learn new things, and your parenting style and business style change over time. And it's like with the challenges in business that we now face. If I'd faced them 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have known what to do. But the challenges back then that I was pulling my hair out are now just a day-to-day sort of occurrence that you go, okay, cool, we'll just figure this out by doing that and then move on to the next.
Absolutely. Um, Going back to the business side one more time, of all
Yeah.
the years and of all the clients you have served so far, do you have a favorite case study that you want to talk about?
Um, there's I'm a firm believer that someone that you don't get to where you get to in life without somebody helping you out. And so we've got one guy that I met through a referral. And he said to me, "Look, let's just do one deal and see how things have gone." And at the time, he had 14 doors. We've grown that to I think 37 or 38 from memory over the last sort of 2.5 years. Um, and from that, he's also was the driver behind the project management. And he said to me, "Hey, look, if you start a property management company, I'll give you 15 properties to kick you off and get you started." And so from like that's probably the guy that's helped us out the most. He great client, done a lot of business through us, keeps coming back. And so it's cool to have those sorts of moments and those sorts of relationships in the business. And there's a number of other guys that are similar. But this one particular person's been the one that's just given us the extra little, hey, if you go and do this, or if you need some support with this, or he runs a rather large organization, and it's always good to be able to pick up the phone to him and go, hey, look, I'm having this issue with team, or how do I better structure this? And he's always there on the other end of the phone too to be like, look, mate, this is what I've gone through at this part of my life, and maybe you need to start looking at this and this because this is how you're going to grow a better team culture. So that's it's a really good two-way relationship.
Very cool. Very cool. And I just think everything in business, I mean, you could apply the same principle to a 9 to 5 as well. But everything really, when you're trying to grow, is on the other side of the connections and the relationships that you build with people. I've definitely learned that in the last 3 years of running this business. So that definitely resonates with me.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's like with the AI stuff that there's AI is great for taking care of all the back end side of things, but I still think people want to talk to people at the end of the day, and I don't think we're ever going to get away from that. And those relationships and how you make people feel are really the key part with it, as opposed to having transactional relationships with people. It's so much easier to have a client, have a great relationship, keep that relationship going, and do multiple business deals with them rather than trying to get a new client every week or a new person through the door every week is so much harder.
For sure. I don't think people realize how much retention can help grow the business instead of just adding new customers. So that's definitely a key takeaway. So
Yeah.
Hadley, this has been a really great conversation. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Best places on Instagram at Hadley Nightingale. And then, yeah, we've got our information on there and send us a message and happy to have a chat.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being a great guest. I also see books in the background. What book are you reading right now?
At the moment, I have to pull it. Just let me grab the name of it. It's a bit of a tongue twister. So, which one is it? A happy pocket full of money.
Oh, that's a good one. It's on my list too. I'm gonna have to start it. I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different take on how to think about money and things like that. But no, it's a good book, but a bit of a tongue twister to get the title out in one go.
Very cool. Well, it has been a lovely conversation. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I hope anybody who's listening to it, they got a lot of key takeaways. So I wish you the best in what you're doing, and hope we can chat again soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.